Hi, everybody. We're going to be going through my tattoo, kind of giving you a voiceover kind of thing and describing what's going on. And you're watching the footage about 3 or 4 times the speed that it was actually done at.
Yeah, so it's a little
less
monotonous.
So, because I know you love to watch like 3 hours of it. So, coming up next, tattoo footage of me getting tattooed by him.
And me
Jack.
explaining what the hell I'm doing.
So stick around. So we've talked about why you guys shave before, but if you want to,
and you know, I every time we do one of those videos, I think about them later and stuff, and like what I said. So it's really cool because it keeps my brain rocking, and I thought about that too. One other reason, the reasons you do it is cleanliness is the biggest one. You can't really get to the surface of the skin very well if you've got all these little hairs in the way. And they can make it hard to get the skin cleaned properly. Another thing is to get the stencil to adhere, or the pen as you're drawing, it's going to be skipping on all these hairs, and then when you dab or wipe, the stencil's just going to come right off the hairs. Yeah. And another thing is as you're working and you're looking, at the tip of a needle following a line, if there's all these hairs and they're catching light and you have all these little highlight gleams all over the place, especially if you have light hair, it can just make things very hard to read and hard to see. So, yeah.
Plus, hair reflects light, so it does affect how you see something.
Yeah, and I noticed that the other day I shaved up a guy's arm, and it was actually when I was taking the pictures of it, the light coming in through the window just reflected off all of his hairs. And I'm like, well, man, even for the picture, it screws up the picture if you don't get it really nice and shaved. So
right now, I guess we should explain. I had this outlined about 20-odd years ago. Yeah. So it had been sitting there, and because it had been sitting there so long, it needed to be freshened up.
Yeah, if I would have just gone in there and colored it and left the outline, it would have looked really weird, and you wouldn't have had that nice black contrast to help the colors pop off of. So yeah, while you're at it, if something's been sitting that long, I always definitely recommend hitting the outline again and just bringing it all back to life.
Yeah, because even if you're like doing things in process of like a huge piece, generally you don't want to have too much time between them for that reason. Like it used to be, you do the whole outline and then you do the shading on like a big back piece, and now it seems like you guys do more like, well, we can finish this much of it, this much of it, this much of it. And that's one of the reasons why I assume you guys do that, is so that you don't have to constantly be going back and fixing that.
I don't know if it's a reason, but it's a benefit. Now that you mention it, that is a big benefit. I usually, if I'm doing a sleeve, I'll usually work it piece by piece. I'll have it in mind what I want where loosely, and I'll maybe draw up the outer arm piece first or something, and work with that, and then I'll know exactly where that is and how it laid on the arm, and I'll piece it together. So that's if it's 2 or 3 years between when we started your sleeve and when you were able to pick it back up, doesn't matter. We got this all finished. It doesn't, it's fine.
It's kind of you want things to match. It's kind of like painting. Yeah. You paint like half your house, and then come back a year later, it's like half your house is going to look like crap, and the other half's going to look okay. Yeah. So you kind of want that piece to match together. Obviously, we moved past the shading. And
I'm putting in some. I think, what am I doing now? The rope. I think.
It's a rope.
Just doing some browns. And what I noticed, what was kind of a neat little accidental benefit, I guess, from us waiting 10 years to do this, is that the old outline kind of act as a shadow, kind of a so that was kind of neat. It kind of added a little bit of an extra layer value to it without me having to really add anything extra. Because I think I didn't do any black shading in that rope. I just went with the browns, and then I go in with like an ochre, I think. Kind of like a yellowish ochre.
To give it kind of more of a highlight and more of a pop.
Yeah, and it still looks nice and rounded. So.
Yeah.
It was kind of a neat little happenstance.
I've always, and a question I'm sure people ask, why do you guys do one color at a time? Is that just to save time, or is it just basically because it makes for a better product in the long run, or is that just the way it's done? Like you start with your blacks, then you do your brownish, like a rust color you're doing now.
So is there a rhyme and reason to like what color we do?
I think we got a video out of order. Good job, DaVo.
Yeah, you did.
I thought it moved kind of quickly.
So you want to roll through this? And,
we might as well roll through it. Okay. People like mistakes. It makes it more interesting.
If it's perfect, it's not art, right?
All right.
What was the question?
Well, why you guys pick one color at a time?
So it used to be more so back in the day. It was kind of a strict rule that you started with your dark colors and worked to your light colors. The thinking is that if you go in, say, with oranges and yellows first, and you get this all nice and bright, and then go in with this brown, and wipe that brown across those colors, those holes are open, right? And it can muddy the color up. Well, yeah, yes and no.
Yeah.
It does at the time, but the stuff the pigment that's at that very top layer is not going to stick around anyway. So it's pretty rare that happens.
Yeah.
So more so now what artists will do, instead of following that so strictly, is like I did with the rope, I believe. Oh, maybe I did the blue and then I did the highlight, because that blue is kind of a deeper concentrated, and that would muddy up the yellow real easy and make it look kind of green, and I didn't want that for that. So that's the main reason. But artists now more will work section by section. And what's good with why that's good is for dirty dippers is what we call it. So like if I had that brown and then I wanted to lighten it up, I would just go straight from that brown and I'd just dip it in some yellow or some white to lighten it up, using what was already there to mix in my tip, and just mix as I go. So that's a benefit, because you can get those nice gradations. So if you're starting with a really deep blue or purple and you want to bring it out to a real light violet, you don't want to go in there and do your dark purple, wipe that off, and then do your dark brown, and then wipe that off, and then go back and go, okay, now I'm going to do a medium purple, and then go, you can just flow. Another benefit is to the customer, because you're not, if you're working on this big piece, you're not, okay, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go up here and do this, I'm going to do this, and do this. Okay, now I'm going to go do the blue. I'm going to go back down here, going to go to there, and you're jumping all over the place. You're more finishing as you're going.
Yes.
So, I like
I've experienced that. And like I have a rosary where it was just like, oh, great, this is feeling numb, everything's great, and then, I'm going to put a little red in. So then it's like this little red rose here, it's a little rose. So it's just that constant movement and so forth.
Right.
Yeah, so now we're on to the blues.
Yeah, I think it almost looks like the highlight on the rope is in there. I don't know, maybe we were jabbing all the way through that. But it was a concern I had when I was doing it.
As far as pain, this upper part wasn't too bad, but when you start getting down into that kind of ticklish
around the
underarm,
corner,
that was a little grumpy, to say the least.
Yeah.
Once you get through the initial outline, in most cases with most tattoos, at least my experience, it's not so much it numbs out, but you've kind of gotten into the groove and everything's fine.
Yeah, you've kind of relaxed. No matter how many times you've been tattooed, you always get that a little bit of a oh shit right before it starts. I don't care who you are. It always happens. So once it gets going again and you remember, I lived through this before, because it's not that bad.
The same as it always did.
Then you relax. The artist is more relaxed, and things are flowing and going, and you're just in the rhythm of everything. Yeah. And usually it'll build up to a crescendo. About 3 or 4 hours in.
I said, this is getting ouchy. About 3.5. I've noticed, I know my own tolerance, and it's about 3 hours.
And the great thing is that's about how long your tattoo took, And it's a decent sized tattoo. It's, moderately complex. It's got, some blending and stuff. So, if you got a good artist and he knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing, or X, Y, or giraffe,
whatever they define themselves as.
Then it's you can get a lot done within that time. So that's not like,
And we did take one break where we went, I had a quick cigarette. Just a little bit on etiquette when you're getting a tattoo, because I did this a lot because I've had this sinus infection and it's draining down the back of my throat. And I if you've been watching videos lately, you notice my voice sounds more like this. That's why. So I've been coughing. Is like, if you feel like you have to move or shift, mention it to your tattoo artist. Give them a kind of heads up so that they can go, okay, wait till I finish this line or this pass and then move.
Yeah.
Also, it's not uncommon when you sit still in a position for a long period of time, especially after a couple hours, you'll start to notice that your circulation and that your fingers are starting to kind of subside. It might get a little cold or what have you, or you might get some discomfort in your joints from not moving. So yeah, it's important to communicate that, because if you just move on somebody, you're going to end up with extra things that you don't want.
And one thing people don't really understand or think about is that not only can it cause a mistake, but you could potentially cause me to poke myself.
Yeah, which we don't want.
It's a constant thought in my mind, that my fingers are within an inch a lot of times of that needle, and I want you to be still,
Yeah.
I don't want to mess you up, but I don't want to, mess me up either. So being controlling your movements and timing it with, when we're wiping or dabbing is very much appreciated, because while we're pulling that long line, even if you've been sitting still, we're thinking, don't move, don't move, don't move, don't move. And if you've been moving, it's trying to pull those long lines where, it's nice to know in the back of your mind that, you're just chill. So it does, it helps you get a better tattoo.
Yeah, plus,
and quicker, if I'm having to fight you and chase you around and fix up stuff because you just moved when I did that, it can add a good half hour to your tattoo just trying to keep up with you.
And make it more painful, actually.
Right, exactly.
And the other thing is like with breathing, I think a lot of people want to hold their breath when they feel the needle hitting. And that's not necessarily what you want to do. You kind of want shallow, just even breaths, just like you would if you were walking down the street. If you hold your breath, it's going to make the experience more intense. And really, to be honest with you, unless you're taking huge deep breaths, even on a stomach or chest or those areas, do you see a lot of movement at all?
It's as long as I can. If you're not talking and I can time, it's fine.
Yeah.
But when you're talking, you're taking all these irregular breaths, your diaphragm's moving, your chest is expanding, and it's a nightmare. You just can't talk. There's been times where I've been pulling some pretty delicate things on the chest, and the customer's heart is beating so hard that it's.
Have you ever noticed the blood vessel around the navel? Because I'll get that from navel piercings. I've had people that came in that were so wound up that when we put the forceps on it, literally you can see it bouncing.
Oh, bouncing,
up and down.
The heart is a powerful muscle.
Yes, I guess we've moved on to the reds. The blues look like they're pretty much done.
I actually just did the highlights.
Yeah.
The lighter browns and the rope and stuff. I noticed I hadn't done them yet, and it looks
this
like
is me stretching, trying to get my elbow to work again.
Yeah.
And get some circulation back into my hand.
I think, we don't have much left.
Yeah.
I'm just doing some orange and yellow, I think, in the embers, in the cigar and the cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did I do? Oh, yeah, I'm coloring in the cigar there.
Yeah, this was kind of partly was kind of Birdman's joke on me smoking nonstop, because when he designed this tattoo, I was smoking about 2.5 packs a day, just nonstop. And this is one who could smoke inside in businesses and has dinner right there in the middle of the shop, waiting room. It was like a boiler room in there towards the end of the night, and I think it was his way of kind of going, yeah, fuck you. And yeah, in this part, I really didn't feel much of this. It was just when you'd start working down in that inner arm that it get uncomfortable.
Yeah, that machine, I've tattooed myself with it, and you can really...
Which we have some footage of we might share here soon.
Oh, yeah. I almost forgot about that.
I just haven't had a chance to get to it.
Yeah.
And you're putting some white highlight in there for the cigarettes now.
Yeah, it's like a gray... it's just enough to differentiate it from your skin tone.
Just a tad bit.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a mixture of your skin tone plus the colors that you're actually mixing together to kind of give that final
It can. You can I almost call it oversaturate the pigment in the skin, and pretty much drowned out the skin for the most part. I mean, if you've got a pretty good birthmark or something like that, you know, you'll see that.
It's gonna seep.
But if you don't oversaturate like that, then yeah.
Yeah, we're getting right towards the end.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the biggest difference between the coil machines and the rotary machines that I notice is vibration. I remember getting tattooed even on my arm where
you just felt like
and I think that added to like that feeling of your fingers falling asleep and that kind of numbing ache. With the rotaries, you don't feel it. You still feel that scratching effect that tattoos have. But beyond that, I really didn't notice that much of a difference.
That's true. Yeah, I guess.
And there we are. We're finished.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to say or add?
No, I guess that was easy.
That was I wish tattoos that took 3.5 hours took 15 minutes.
Yeah, but if you have any questions, shoot them at us.
Make a comment. We love to answer comments when we have time.
And if you liked us doing the voiceover, if you like this thing at all, let us know because we can do more of them.
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. We kind of want to get into this whole thing of going through the process of giving you guys an idea or insight into what it's like.
Not everybody lives in a tattoo shop, so
40 hours a week at least.
Yeah. So anyway,
we're like 60, but anyway. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you liked it. Share with other people. If you have any questions, like I said, make a comment. If you haven't subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Why would they not have subscribed yet?
Subscribed. I'm having a problem. Why is it coming out of my mouth sounding wrong? I don't know.
No, you kind of have a slight speech
impediment. Yeah, I have teeth impediment. So subscribe.
Subscribe.
A lot of my S's are weird today. Anyway. Also check out our merch store. We have a ton of new stuff on.
Oh, I got my shirt, my nudie girl shirt today.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about it. Oh, I should be modeling it, but yeah, man. I got my girlfriend's leggings in.
Yeah.
They're super dope. I got some pictures, but she won't let me post them. But anyway, yeah, I'm so stoked with the merch.
Yep.
Really cool. Oh, and she got a baby tee or whatever with the logo on it, and it's super soft and stretchy, and it's like. It's the kind you like.
We've been really happy with the quality we've seen from it because we had another place that we were doing it through and the quality just wasn't there. Teespring really just everything's been great.
Yeah.
But other than that, you guys have a good day and we hope to see you if you're tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Go out there, do something important, enjoy yourself,
and have a merry New Year.
New Year, holiday, Christmas.
Because I don't know when this is coming out.
Yeah, it's coming out Sunday. So
so it'll be before Christmas.
Yep.
Well,
or you're watching it in July.
Or you're watching it a year later. Yep. It's still fun. Anyway, be nice to each other. See you next time.
Bye.